Hey everyone! Well, it's time for another one of these. Another update video after the travesty, we're gonna call it, that was the March Pendarn update from a few months ago. I know things have changed, from the cancellation of Mod Gear Season 3 and Discover and Create to quite a lot of random content premiering on the channel since the Pendarn update in March. The channel has been kind of all over the place, admittedly. But after now that it's the 6th month of the year, and it's been 3 months, roughly, since the last update video, it's time to deliver again. However, this one's going out a bit early, as with E3 starting next week, I figured I'd just post this before E3 because there are plans to do some stuff for that. This video has a lot to cover, mainly through issues and troubles that are happening right now as of this moment, and a crap ton of changes. Changes and updates to current content, existing content, and the future. As of right now, there isn't planned to be another update aside from this one until the end of the year. I don't see a reason to post one in September, at least with the way the channel operates. So that's why this update's going to look a lot larger in the grand scheme of things. Because it's basically having to cover not 3 months until a Pendarn update, it's having to cover half a year's worth of time, basically. So bear with me, this is going to be a little bit long, but we're just going to run with it because, well, obviously, I think it's better to do it this way. So, looking ahead into 2021, let's just first address, how is the channel doing right now? At least as of the recording of this video on Thursday, May 27th, but we're obviously going to count this as June 2nd, I believe. I'm not entirely sure when this video is going out, but it's going out in June, believe me. How is the channel performing right now? Well, obviously, content's definitely changed since March. And to be honest, the difference in content flow has definitely seen some advantages, and it's seen disadvantages. I've been able to have a lot more free time to do other things, but at the same time, not really posting a lot more has definitely made boredom set in even more. I mentioned back in the previous Pendarn updates that the reasons why Mod Gear and Discover and Create were cancelled was simply due to boredom of their base games. And that fact still is true at this moment. I haven't played those games since the March Pendarn update or even before that, and many other games, like Left 4 Dead is a good example, are games that I'm slowly stopping to play because of boredom. Another big game, World of Warcraft, that I said I was going to be coming back in March, I'm pretty much planning to quit now, because the game's in a very terrible state, and I'd rather move on to something else. But I've had a lot of fun making some of the new videos that have come out, whether that be from things like Killing Floor 2, Golf with Your Friends, Among Us, and Friday Night Funkin' are great examples of games that I've really enjoyed making videos on. So in the end, switching content has definitely made some advantages, but it has disadvantages, like boredom in places that I wouldn't expect, but because there's boredom, I have to find time to do other stuff, and that's a lot more difficult than you'd think. But now we get to the fun part. The issues and troubles, so far, at least from the last update. Even with deleting content, essentially, and lowering the upload rate that I'm producing videos at, there are still issues, and there are troubles that not only affect the now, but affect the future, and looking ahead into this year, and even in the year after this. So what are those videos? Well, not videos. What are those issues? What are those troubles? Well, the channel kind of, as of right now, sits in a weird situation, a gray area, as we'll call it, where, because obviously I don't really have a lot of games to play, and I'm limited by both hardware limitations, as well as just other stuff that actually I need to get the games for, because of that, over the course of time, especially as of recent, I'm slowly running out of games to make videos on. Primarily because I want to make sure I'm making videos on games that intrigue me and provide me interest, and I think I'm going to, enjoy. Running out of those games, and when you start to factor in that A, it's getting harder to find those games, and B, I have to cope with hardware limitations, it starts to become apparent that over time that's going to affect the flow of content on the channel. Whether that be through things like fewer uploads or videos of just Minecraft being the entire thing, at that point, views and numbers and all that are not going to increase, nor are they going to stay relatively consistent. A great example of this would be like Resident Evil Village. While the hardware limitations I have, in this case, being that I probably won't be able to run Resident Evil Village at a suitable frame rate, at least for YouTube purposes, it's also expensive, and trying to scrounge up all that cash to get the game is a whole other problem. However, there are decisions planning to be made to adjust to both hardware limitations and, I guess you could say, cash limitations, basically. The first really option would be to just do whatever I want, not basically giving no care essentially to hardware limitations or anything like that. In the long run, that would just mean that I would just film videos of anything I had and purchase anything whenever it seemed interesting to me. The other one is to simply just go big or go home at this point, to buy the most current top-selling games on the market, which, for an example at this point, as of the recording of this video, on Thursday, May 27th, the recent announcements of the release date for Dying Light 2 Stay Human, as well as the Sonic Central livestream with Sonic Colors Ultimate and Sonic Origins, those are new games that are planning to come out, so making videos on them would make a lot of sense. That's kind of what go big, go home is, if you understand that. That would also lead to games that I've never actually played that might be in my Steam library that would get videos on. Some examples could be things like Darksiders, or Deathspank, or Saints Row the Third. Games that I never really played or haven't played in years that would come to the channel for the first time. Much like Call of Duty World at War came to the channel a few weeks ago due to that reason. In the end, it would change how content works on the channel, and what's going out and what kind of content's going out, because at that point, if the channel was to go for a go big, go home like idea, then big AAA titles, we're talking things like Dying Light 2 and obviously Sonic Origins and Sonic Colors Ultimate, as well as other games like Biomutant, Resident Evil Village, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, you get the idea. New, hot titles would just flood the channel, regardless of hardware limitations and regardless of cash limitations. At that point, obviously, it'd be kind of funny to have a video break 10,000 views out of nowhere. That's kind of the point, but that's just an option as to where the channel could go. But again, as I'm saying, if I wasn't caring for hardware limitations, Let's Plays, or really just any videos of any game in general, would start to premiere on the channel, and they would become the sole content running on the channel, the primary, much like how Minecraft was the primary through most of 2020. Minecraft would, in this point, it would get put on the back burner, but more on that in a little bit. Sure, these games might run at 1080p at 45 frames per second, because obviously I'm not going to be caring about hardware limitations, but it's better than not running those games at all, and it's better to actually have them running so that I can make videos on them, again, regardless of hardware limitations. But obviously, as of right now, I can't really fix the hardware limitations. With the issues with the recent semiconductor shortage, crypto mining of nearly all graphics cards, processors, and many other PC components on the market, it's pretty hard to upgrade right now. Unless if you look in the black market or on websites like eBay or AliExpress, or you get a pass down from a family member who might be upgrading, it's pretty hard to upgrade your PCs right now. So honestly, I have to stick with what I have. After a lot of thought, especially over the course since March Pandaren update up until now, growing is definitely a big issue. We don't grow very fast here. We only get maybe 1 or 2 subscribers a month. Our views are relatively consistent at around 30 views every episode. Growing's a big issue. Typically, whenever I talk about growth, I usually always blame it on the algorithm itself. I mean, I'm pretty sure all content creators would agree that you probably blame it on the algorithm. That's literally what judges what videos go where, how videos get recommended. I mean, that's what the algorithm does. I could also blame it on my thumbnails, or the kinds of videos, or the tags, or the descriptions, but in the end, the reality, at least for us, for the biggest contributors to why I think we haven't grown as much as we should, is simply because of the near 18 months of breaks that I've taken over the course of this channel's life. With many of those breaks primarily taking place in 2017 through 2019. Can't really fix 18 months worth of breaks. Even if I'm on the platform for another 18 months straight, you can't really fix a year and a half's worth of breaks once it's already happened. It's not like the Wayback Machine where I can just go back. In the end, I think that those 18 months is what really screwed over the growth of the channel. And in general, trying to regain that's going to be difficult. So, trust me, I'm trying to do a lot of things, and I honestly am trying to figure out what is it going to take to grow on the platform with all of those troubles in the past. Is it going to take some big deal series like Fortnite or a Let's Play of a new AAA game, again using the example of Dying Light 2 or Biomutant or something along the lines of that? Would it be something like a Fortnite video, or something completely random out of nowhere that just makes the algorithm go, let's recommend this to the people, obviously. Pretty much every day, over the course of the last 3 months, the thought has always crossed my mind, what can I do to grow? And will I ever grow regardless of what I do? So, trust me, it's difficult, and the last few months have definitely been a struggle, figuring out what to post, how to post it, and what works and what doesn't. So trust me, there's a lot of trial and error, and you're definitely going to see that as the months progress. Also to note, the channel just doesn't really have a lot of collaborations that we would normally do after, obviously, with the decline of content and just other people quitting the platform. Many of the friends that I had who were content creators, or content creators who have reached out to me to make videos with them, either A, decline me in some fashion, or they just don't talk to me at all. We're essentially alone. Completely alone, with no one to collab with. We're kind of back to that solo content creator self that we were for a pretty long time here on YouTube. The impact of this is definitely starting to show, and there's definitely a lot of videos as of recent that have come out that have been more, I would say, solo content oriented. Minecraft being a great example of that, as well as things like, being like Friday Night Funkin', as well as Call of Duty World at War, and a few others. I'm looking into it, believe me. I'm trying to see if it's possible to collab with other smaller creators and other friends who might have YouTube channels, but obviously, when you have no one in your living area that's as old as you, when you're a virtual student and you can't really, walk down the school hall to ask somebody to play Fortnite with you, and if you don't play Fortnite, then, well, no one's going to talk to you because Fortnite's this new hip thing, They're not going to talk to you in the first place. So at that point, it's hard. And over the especially the last 2 years, that's really taken a toll. So, trust me, solo content creation can work, but I don't think it's going to work for long. So believe me, I'm trying to get some collaborations going. It's just going to be a while. But now with all of the, I guess you could say, the issues and troubles of things like hardware limitations and cache limitations and not having enough games to really perform, and boredom really starting to hit in with a lot of the games I've come to know and love, not having a lot of collaborations and, all that good jazz. With all the issues out of the way, let's move to a more interesting side of this update, and that is, what about just now? The right now. Let's focus we'll focus not on the past, let's focus on the now. Let's focus on the future. The new changes and the updates that are coming. Whether that be as of this day, or within the next few weeks or months that things are going to be implemented. What can you expect over the course of the next few months through the channel's life? Let's start with Minecraft. I think that's a good way to kick off this segment. Minecraft is obviously still going to go out on Monday every 2 weeks at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. For me, every 2 weeks works pretty well because, well, it allows me to create other forms of content in between, which is why I'm able to post, say, 2 extra videos one week, and then 1 in another, and then maybe like 3 in another. It allows for more, content diversity, and I think that's what this channel has been needing for a long time, is content diversity. However, with minigame and challenge videos primarily being the biggest focus with Minecraft, especially over the last year and a half, I think it's about time we just open the floodgates. I want to let Minecraft just do its own thing. At this point, I want to just let Minecraft videos be Minecraft videos. I don't want to limit it to be where it has to be a challenge or a minigame. I just want it to be whatever the heck it wants. If it wants to be a challenge, go for it. If it wants to be a minigame, alright, let's do it. If it wants to be a how-to, alright, let's do it. If it wants to be something about the Dream SMP, let's do it. If it wants to be a collab about, like, survival, we can do that. So don't be surprised if I was to start copying, say, the likes of other YouTubers like TommyInnit, Dream, Technoblade, and the kind of content they're performing, but also don't expect that if the videos start getting a bit clickbaity, much like the most recent Minecraft video with Minecraft Under the Influence. The idea being that using clickbait titles could bring in viewers. I've never been the kind of person to use clickbait, but I think at this point, with the channel just kind of suffering a little bit from lack of growth, especially since March, we need to kick it up a notch. And I feel that the summer is a great way to do that, and as much as I hate to say it, clickbaiting might be the best way to do it. Random content is still random content, and that's going to stay as it should. It's still going to go out randomly based on any games I want, so you can always keep checking the sub feed because they're going to go out random. There's no set day. Sometimes, most of the time, however, they tend to go out on Wednesdays and Thursdays primarily, but again, it's random. They're still going to be somewhat consistent though for Minecraft videos, so it's not like they're going to be with Minecraft going out on Monday and then one on a Saturday, no. Most likely, random games will usually go out within about 2 to 3 days after a Minecraft video, if there is one. So again, like a Wednesday, a Thursday, or a Friday is expected for most of this kind of content. But there's not going to be every week where there is one. Just be wary of that. If there are games like ones I mentioned earlier, like Dying Light 2 or Biomutant or other ones like Forza Horizon 5, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, you get the idea. If these games were to premiere on the channel in any capacity, Dying Light 2, I'll use this as an example here, those videos on that game are going to go out pretty much as soon as I can get the tools, the game, and everything I need to record that and get it out as soon as I can. Whether that be the night after the launch of Dying Light 2, in this case being December 7th, so it'd be the 8th of December, they would start going out as soon as possible, and would also join the ranks of other content like Soviet Jump Game, Portal 2, Call of Duty World at War. You get the idea. They would just go out. If this was to happen, Minecraft would get put on the back burner, assuming if something like Dying Light 2 was to take off to the races. If I did a Dying Light 2 Let's Play, which I really do want to do when the game comes out, if that series was to, say, start getting 20,000 views an episode out of nowhere, well yeah, I'm going to make Dying Light 2 the primary source of content and put Minecraft on the back burner, because Minecraft wouldn't really be doing a lot. People would be here to watch Dying Light 2, so it would make sense to post that more. Minecraft would get on the back burner, and until it was safe to bring it back in, once maybe that series had died down a bit, or the Let's Play had calmed down and I can bring Minecraft in safely, knowing I can make that content possible, it will return. That wouldn't be saying I would kill Minecraft off completely, but it would come back. But I have no idea as to how long a Let's Play would last with something like the size of Dying Light 2, but that's an example. If a series came in and just started exploding at the masses and growing, yeah, Minecraft's going to take the back burner so that that series can have its spot in the spotlight. The channel's 5-year anniversary is in August. The channel's going to be 5 years old this year, and that's a pretty insane thing to think. There's going to be a whole special video that's planning to be made, with that video going to be going out on Saturday, August 28th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I don't want to spoil what that video is, but there is an interesting concept behind it, so mark your calendars for that day, because that day is going to be great. There's also planned to be some videos regarding E3 2021, with this video going out about a week and a half-ish before the event takes place. I do plan to make a video or two regarding the event itself, because honestly, with the recent announcements of things at the time of this recording of the video, things like the release date of Dying Light 2, the Sonic Central live stream with obviously Sonic Colors Ultimate and Sonic Origins, and many other games that are either going live or getting announced, E3 is looking to be a really big deal this year. So, I do want to make a video to at least give my thoughts on a lot of the titles that are going to get announced. It's not entirely sure as to how this video is going to get made, whether that just be like a scripted video like this one. Not entirely sure how, but most likely it will premiere within the few days following the end of E3, so probably after the 15th, which is when E3 comes to its close. So just be sure to subscribe for that video. You also might have noticed that over the last month, the channel's branding, both the banner and logo, have completely changed across all of my social medias. This is mainly to give the channel a fresh new look. Because, well, obviously we're not really filming a lot of space content anymore, because, granted, I mean, Discover and Create's gone, and, well, it'd be kind of weird to have space be your theme if you're not making space content. So I figured it's time for a change, and I think simple pandas just work nicely. So, therefore, this theme's going to stay for the foreseeable future, unless if I want to change anything or anything like that, and I think it suits the channel's overall theme pretty well. Now, however, let's get to another big one, a big change that's coming in. All content that was made either during 2016 upwards to 2018. So in this case, to sum it up briefly, from August 2016 up to when I took a 9-month break in July of 2018. Any form of content within this time bracket that is either meets one of these 3 requirements, or if it doesn't, either A, the video has not been referenced within the last 12 months of any kind, if the video does not have at least over 50 views, or if that video does not serve any major significance in whether that be something like, say, if it serves significance in mod gear or a current iteration of a video series. If a video does not meet any one of these 3 requirements, it is planned to be unlisted and set to private. This is a big deal because that's a lot of videos. Like, there is a lot of videos that was made during that time. For instance, like the first 25 Ways to Die, the massiveness that was the Minecraft Skywars series, the original EXE files, many of the first space videos, a lot of things were made during that time. Aside from uploading my normal forms of content, there are still other videos that are made during that time period that are gaining the same amount of views every day as videos that I posted today. For example, this update video could get 5 views a day, but there are videos that are 4 years old on this channel that are still getting the exact same amount every day. 2 good examples of this are the original Can We Colonize Enceladus and Just an Average Rank montage from Sonic Generations. These, of course, meet the requirements, so they're going to be staying. But probably about 90% of the videos made during this time are planned to be unlisted and set to private. This is primarily to just let go of the past, to kind of bury the past of the channel, because honestly, compared to the content I make now, it looks like I wasn't really doing anything back then. And I would rather just kind of let that old part of the channel lay to rest. Keep the good videos, so that way, if you're watching Can We Colonize Enceladus or an Average Rank montage, there's not really another place you can go, and you can just come right to the new content. Any videos that were made from 2019 up to this point, they're not being touched, because, well, obviously that's the newer content. This most likely is either going to go in and into effect later today, but most likely it will have already taken its course by the end of the month. So just don't be worried if the video count on the channel suddenly drops. On the social media side, one more time, I want to mention that the YouTube community tab is now being used full-time. Any tweets that get copied over via Twitter are most likely going to get copied over to the YouTube community tab as well. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, don't worry, you'll still get most of my Twitter tweets via the community tab. But I would still recommend you follow me on Twitter at PandaPS_YT. So make sure you follow me over there if you're not the kind of person to check out the community tab. My thumbnails for videos aren't the greatest. Admittedly, I make a lot of my videos with a combination of things like Paint 3D and Microsoft Paint. But I am happy to announce that, so long as the cache limitations don't get in the way again, I'm happy to announce that Adobe Photoshop is planned to enter the ring at some point to help make thumbnails better and look better and perform better. I'm not entirely sure when this is going to happen, but hopefully this comes in within the next few weeks or the next few months to help make videos look fresh and better than they have before. I also want to briefly touch on another subject. Again, obviously removing content's another big problem, but I have to remove a part of content as well in this update. And in that case, I want to briefly touch on the midgets. As mentioned, back both in Pandarin Update in 2020 in December, as well as March Pandarin Update of this year, the midgets were never necessarily completely slashed out of content. I just filmed videos that were filmed something at like 2 or 3 in the morning, or at times when I just didn't want them in my videos. Unfortunately, now I'm having to change that a little bit. Due to quite a lot of reasons, many of which I will not go into, otherwise I will probably be killed on sight. The midgets will no longer be in content for the foreseeable future. As the channel begins to change, and as we focus towards larger AAA titles planning to come out within the next few months following E3 and at the end of the summer, it would be kind of weird to have small midgets in videos. And due to many reasons, again, as I just mentioned, I'd probably be shot dead if I started talking about them, so we're not going to talk about them. But in short, that's another big part that's leaving this channel, and I want to primarily focus just on solo stuff and bringing collabs in when I can, because that's better for what we're going for. But what about scheduled and scripted based content? Well, to be completely honest, scheduled and scripted based content isn't really much of a thing anymore after the events of March Pandaren Update. Minecraft at this point is really the only scheduled thing that's running on this channel, which is of course premiering every 2 weeks on Monday. Random content doesn't necessarily have a schedule because it's premiering whenever the heck it wants. The most recent scripted video, aside from Pandaren Update, would be the most newest version of Can We Colonize Enceladus, and some other scripted parts from other videos here and there. But in reality, there is no scripted content because, while it's not necessarily harder, because it isn't harder to make, I just don't want to make that content as much. I'd rather focus on live commentated videos because they're better. They're more real. They're more impacting than a scripted video would be. However, on the topic of scheduled and scripted content, let's move back to things that were cancelled in March. Things like Mod Gear, as a great example. Series on the scale of Mod Gear, and this grand scheme of things, with 15 episodes and several pages of scripting and all of this planning, series like this aren't planned to make their return in any way, shape, or form during this year, and quite possibly through next year as well. But again, that's subject to change. Obviously, because of the fact that these series take a lot of time to make, with the channel's numbers not really going anywhere, from a business as well as just a numbers standpoint, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to make a series like Mod Gear if it's not going to bring your numbers up. Also because of the fact I want to just try to do trial and error, figure out what live commentated videos work and what don't before I bring Mod Gear back into the big screen. But let's say hypothetically, if the channel was, in this case, to start blowing up out of nowhere, we gained up to 10,000 subscribers out of nowhere, Mod Gear would probably make its return again. But here's the catch. Most likely, Mod Gear wouldn't go back to its Garry's Mod roots, and most likely, Mod Gear would probably get rebooted in a completely different game franchise. Some examples would be things like the Forza Horizon franchise, or Need for Speed, are great examples of where Mod Gear could head, assuming if the channel was to grow big enough, and Mod Gear can make its return. But again, as of right now, scripted content on that level isn't planned to make a comeback anytime soon. But with that, that basically concludes everything I wanted to talk about. Whether that be things like the current hardware and cache limitations that I'm currently suffering through. Trying to find new games to record and make videos on is a surprisingly big struggle. I'm hoping that E3 can drop some big games and we can have a lot of fun with new games, whether that be, again, things like Dying Light 2 or the recently released Biomutant or many other games that might get announced at E3. I also touched on just other issues, how the lack of growth is really starting to show, and I finally get an idea of what's probably caused it, as well as the lack of collaborations with other creators, and we're essentially back to that solo content creation standpoint. I also touched on a lot of other changes that are going to be coming, whether that be in the next few weeks or the next few months. Changes with Minecraft to allow it to be whatever the heck it wants. Random content in the form of what would happen if a series took off and how Minecraft would change as of that. Social media changes, as well as things like banners and logos and the YouTube community tab were also touched on. Also made some stuff about removing content from the first few years of the channel's life due to certain factors, and just touching on things like my thumbnails and the midgets and scheduled and scripted based content. This video was a lot harder to make than I expected, I'll be completely honest. This had to go over a lot of information, and a lot of this has been on my mind since March. The idea of if we're going to grow and what works and what doesn't has crossed my mind pretty much every single day since The Future of PandaPowerSauce, released at the end of March. At this point, I'm looking ahead. With me now finishing my junior year in high school and going through summer vacation, I'm going to be heading into senior year next year, and then I have to start looking into college. The channel is again in a weird gray area. Trial and error, figuring out what works and what doesn't, but preparing for the future. Because I honestly don't know where we're going to be a year from now. A year from now, the channel might not have grown at all, and at that point, it starts to dawn on me, is it worth continuing at that point a year from now if the channel hasn't grown much? The channel's future is sort of uncertain, but we're going to keep pushing because I love what I do. I love creating videos for the world, but I just hope that at some point one of those videos just takes off and we can finally start growing. But if you want to keep up to date on any other news or updates or things like new video announcements or any breaks or sudden like things like that, then make sure you follow me both via Twitter at @PandaPS_YT, as well as the YouTube community tab to stay updated with with all of those things. If you enjoyed this video of me talking for literally a half hour, then make sure you like the video and subscribe, and I hate to say this, but as well as turn on the notification bell so you get notified when new videos come out. But anyways, I rambled on for enough. But that's all for now. My name is PandaPowerSauce. Remember to stay saucy. Thank you guys so much for listening, and here's to the summer and a continuation of this year. Take it easy, everybody. Later.